Greetings and welcome to our daily walk through the scriptures for March the 1st. Our readings for today finish out Leviticus chapter 25, see us finish Leviticus chapter 26, and then Leviticus 27, 1 through 13. And then we hit Mark chapter 10, verses 32 through 52, Psalm 45, verses 1 through 17, and Proverbs 10, 22. Now, there's really a lot we could talk about today, but one part that really kind of hit me was the interaction that Jesus had in verses 35 through 45 in Mark chapter 10, James and John's request to Jesus. They came to him and they asked if, hey, one of us can sit at the left hand and one can sit at the right hand. Now, some of this also has attributed to their mother as well. Mama Thunder. That's what Zebedee means. The sons of Zebedee is sons of thunder. So Mama Thunder came and asked them these questions. But you know, we live in a world today that just wants everybody to say, "Hey, you're special, and you are destined for greatness." And I will have to confess that kind of bothers me. It bothers me because what's wrong with being average? What's wrong with being simple? We grow up and we're told that we can be anything that we want to be and we can do anything that we want to do. What happens when that isn't actually the case? Because the bottom line is there are things that I can't do. I'm 5'9". I'm never going to be 6'5". I'm never going to slam dunk a basketball. I have a weak arm. I'm never going to be able to throw a football 60 yards. And that's just the irrelevant stuff like football. My intelligence level is not going to let me become a rocket scientist. There are things that I'm just never going to be able to do. And I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Ultimately my job is to bring glory to God. That's what I'm here for. And I may never know the difference that I make in people's lives. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but the bottom line is it's not about me. When James and John go and they want to sit next to these things, Jesus is like, well, are you going to do the things that I'm going to do? Can you drink from the cup? He says, yeah, they said, yeah, we can. And Jesus says, well, you know what? You're right. You can do that. But the goal of our lives is not to become great. It's to become, as Jesus says, the slave of all in verse 44. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. That is our call. Our call is not to be great and aspire to greatness. Our call is to be servants, to offer our lives as a ransom for many, to serve, not to be served, to not aspire for greatness, but to aspire to servanthood. And I think our world today, we don't like that. We don't like that idea. We like the idea of being great. We like that idea of being famous. When you look at, I remember this distinct shift in yearbooks. Yearbooks, have always had these things of what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember my 25-year-old, she had a yearbook when she was in elementary school. And aspirations of it looked very different. When we were kids growing up, people said, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a police officer, I want to be an army, I want to be a doctor, whatever, a teacher, all these different jobs of service. Well, in my daughter's yearbook, the number one thing that kids wanted to be was an influencer, a social media influencer, not a servant, but hey, let me tell you how great I am. Let me sell you something. It's vapor. It's mist. But that's the world that we live in. If we're being honest with ourselves, we like the idea of being an influencer far greater than we like the idea of being a servant. We like the idea of being considered great, that we would be remembered in the history books. Well, that's not what Jesus calls for us to do. Jesus calls for us to become less, as John said, so that he can become more. To serve, not to be served, to offer our life as a ransom for many, not to ask to sit at the left and the right of Jesus. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be happy just to get into heaven. I'm going to be gracious for the fact that I get into heaven because of the salvation of Christ. I'm not so worried about my place in paradise so much as the fact that I get to be in paradise. You see, we're not special because the world tells us we're special. We're special because we're children of Christ. But what makes us special is also whether we're willing to give up that specialness and serve others. Okay, that's our thought for today. We'll see you next time.